A few weeks ago, Joe Biden told us our Second Amendment right to bear arms is not absolute.
Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute. This isn't about taking away anyone's rights. It's about protecting children. It's about protecting families. It's about protecting whole communities.
And last week, in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court just struck down New York's strict gun limits on carrying concealed weapons in New York, a case wherein the court said citizens may, quote, not be required to explain to the government why they sought their right to exercise a constitutional right. In fact, Justice Alito goes as far as saying, quote, will a person hell-bent on carrying a mass shooting be stopped if he knows that it is illegal to carry a handgun outside the home? So what do restrictive gun laws do other than restrict law-abiding gun owners? And this is where gun groups say, quote, the burden is on the government to justify restrictions, not on the individual to justify to the government a need to exercise their rights. And these rulings are sure to carry some very important implications for what rights we have to carry guns. The loudest response, of course, comes from those on one side who argue that the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, and therefore Joe Biden is completely wrong to say that the Second Amendment is not absolute. And of course, the loud folks on the other side who say we should just have no guns. So what's likely to happen after these Supreme Court decisions, and what kind of precedent has the Supreme Court given us? Have they given us any insights into how absolute the Second Amendment actually is? Is Joe Biden trying to take our guns away, and has the Supreme Court given us any answers here? Well, let's get to some of the facts and some answers, because there are some, and they're quite interesting, especially now that we've got a pretty split court that leans quite well to the conservative and Republican majority of 6-3. So the first time the Supreme Court provided us a deep dive into the Second Amendment was actually during the 2008 case of the District of Columbia versus Heller. This case arose from lawsuits against the Washington City Council Firearms Control Regulations Act of 1975, which banned residents from even owning handguns and weapons in their own homes. The court ultimately decided that the Second Amendment was, quote, a guarantee to the individual the right to possess and carry weapons in the case of confrontation, and further elevated that the Second Amendment, quote, gives us the right of law-abiding citizens to use arms in the defense of hearth and home, and thus the Supreme Court overturned the Washington, D.C. handgun ban. But what the case also did was provide us some color on the Supreme Court's interpretation of the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court argues that you can become disqualified from your right to bear arms, such as in the case of felons or the mentally ill, and that should not be misconstrued in any way. But the Supreme Court also makes it clear that the rights of the Second Amendment are not unlimited. Even though they say you have the right to arms, you don't have the right to all arms. For example, you have the right to own a shotgun, but not the right to own a shoulder-mounted missile system or weapons of mass destruction. This is obviously an extreme example, but the point is clear. The right to bear arms does not mean the right to bear all arms and the right of all people to bear any arms. So, what kind of arms do we have the right to own? Well, the Supreme Court here argues that weapons are protected by the Second Amendment if there are weapons that are, quote, in common use at the time. This is a doctrine that arose from the case of United States v. Miller, a 1939 case that decided that weapons protected by the Second Amendment should have a reasonable relation to a well-regulated militia. Remember, a militia is a citizen body that organizes to help a military in the event of need. This is important because a militia would be made up of citizens and the weapons that would be typically found in their home. A handgun, after all, is typically found in the home. Therefore, it is deemed to be protected by the Second Amendment. As a result, as we saw in the Heller decision, the Supreme Court added a note that it may in the future find that machine guns like the M16 rifle may be a weapon that's primarily used in the military, or maybe it could be argued that because it was primarily used in the military, especially in World War II, and many folks were allowed to bring them home, that maybe it could be argued that, hey, we actually have a lot of these military-style weapons in the home, and therefore maybe civilian use of an AR-15 might actually be deemed common, thanks to the release of so many of these weapons after World War too. Of course, many will also argue the opposite, that an AR-15 is a weapon that is not commonly found in someone's home. No, I want to be very clear here. The Supreme Court did not say that they're open to banning or allowing AR-15s. However, they do make a very clear note that in the future, even though now in that Heller decision they were talking about handguns, that in the future they could end up having to make a decision on ARs, for example, whether it's an AR-15 or whatever, deemed to be a common weapon in our homes, one such that a militia or group of individual civilians coming out of their homes would go to a militia or call for a militia with an AR-15. It's a very interesting argument that we'll certainly see play out, my guess is, within the next few years. Now, some folks, like Robert Cottrell, a professor at George Washington University Law School, says that assault weapons do qualify because these semi-automatic rifles, like the M1 carbine, were used not only in World War II, not only were people sent home with them, but they were also literally sold by the Army to the public after the war. There was just so many of them, and so obviously those guns are in existence in homes now. Either way, the Supreme Court is clear here. The Second Amendment does not give the United States, as a regulator, a blank check, but it also does not give civilians the blank check to buy any arm that they want. There's a balance, and they would expect a debate to be framed around what weapons are commonly found in the home, and if they're commonly found in the home, the Second Amendment protects us. If they're not commonly found in the home, then the Second Amendment does not protect us. But the pretext for the debate has now been noted by the Supreme Court. So, is your constitutional right to bear arms absolute and limitless? Well, according to the Supreme Court, no, it's not. The right to bear arms is not absolute, and it does have limitations. So this does actually mean that when Joe Biden says your constitutional rights are not absolute,
Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute.
he's correct based on even what the Supreme Court themselves says. Now, when someone like Tucker Carlson says that Joe Biden is trying to take away our guns.
So this isn't an attempt to stop school shootings. It's not an attempt to make this a safer country. This is exactly what it looks like. The beginning of a plan to confiscate and criminalize firearms in the hands of the law-abiding in this country.
I have to take issue with this because that isn't what Joe Biden is doing. He's not trying to take away our guns. Now, of course, Tucker Carlson had an entire segment on how, hey, if you have a limitation on the type of ammunition that you could put into a handgun. For example, you could put only a 10-round magazine into a handgun that's designed for 15. Well, then it might not fit because it'd be too small.
But of course, saving lives is not the point of this. Disarming you is the point. Florida Congressman Greg Steube tried to explain that at a hearing today of the House Judiciary Committee. Watch how this unfolded.
Here's a gun I carry every single day to protect myself, my family, my wife, my home. Comes with a 15-round magazine. Here's a 7-round magazine, which would be less than what would be lawful under this bill if this bill were to become law. It doesn't fit. So this gun would be banned.
I hope the gun is not loaded.
I'm at my house. I can do whatever I want with my guns.
Obviously, this is where the solution is not effectively banning guns, as Tucker Carlson says. It's simply purchasing magazines or qualifying under grandfathering in laws that are compatible with the weapon that you have. For example, a Glock 22, a Glock 19, whatever, in California has magazines that are sized for it. And even though they can hold up to 18 to 22 rounds in some cases, in California, they have magazines that perfectly fit that are 10 rounds. That's not to say I'm a proponent of what California's doing, or I'm a proponent of magazine limitations. But the reality is, having magazine limitations don't ban guns. They just put cost burdens on people to go buy different magazines, assuming there's no grandfathering in law, which of course there was even in California. Even in California, high-capacity magazines had the opportunity for being grandfathered in. Either way, that's sort of a sidebar on high-capacity magazines and sort of a response to a Tucker Carlson video where he suggests, hey, Biden's trying to take away all of our guns. That's a really popular thing to say, especially since it's really popular to make fun of Biden right now, who only has a 30% approval rating. But it's also very fascinating to think about the precedent that the Supreme Court is going to have to deal with over the next few years when soon I expect the Second Amendment is going to be on the Supreme Court's docket again. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Personally, I believe that law-abiding citizens should have the right to inexpensively sign up for concealed carry licenses through their gun stores or whatever, and after a basic competence and mental health screening, should have the right to carry. I'm a big fan of that, but I'd like to see what both sides have to say in the comments down below, and we'll certainly see what the Supreme Court says in the future.